Hello, hello, my powerful sisters. Welcome back to another conversation that I get to have with these amazing women who are part of our book, Power Her Success, that's coming out on September 27th. That's a Tuesday, where you get to actually be empowered as we're talking about what does it mean for a woman to own her power, to live her power, to be her power, to experience her power so that it changes not only herself, but her family, community, and the world. I am Dr. Anita Jackson, founder and CEO of Power Her Success Alliance. And today I get the honor of introducing you to not only a sister of mine, but she's also one of my business partners. She's the executive director of our LinkedIn community. This is Tina Kapp-Kailea. Hopefully I said that right. Yes?
Kapp-Kailea, but
I'm still working on it.
Call me Tina K is fine.
Tina K, there we go. We're gonna call it Tina K, or Tina KK, because I think it's two Ks. And she's all the way in New Zealand, so she's in the future having this conversation with us. I immediately fell in love with Tina when we met, and we've been fast friends. She's joined our team. She's been a powerful leader within the Alliance, and we're doing so many amazing things to really help you as women get to the place where you know that you deserve to live your best life. And so Tina, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and being here with me today as we have a conversation about the book, what does it mean to be a powerful woman, and your chapter specifically. How are you, girl?
I'm very good and very excited to be part of a book. It's been something that I always dreamed of, empowering women. And because I've gone through my story to reclaim my power, I think I'm here on this planet to make sure that I touch women and can kind of say, if I can do that, then you can too.
Don't you just love her accent? I absolutely love her accent. So I have to tell you,
believe it or not, that's been one of the things that I was very conscious of in the beginning, because English is not my first language and the accent is funky. So if you like it.
I absolutely adore it. And we recently met for the first time face to face, what, 4 weeks ago?
4 weeks ago, yeah.
About 4 weeks ago, and it was a hoot and a half. We laughed, we hugged, we kissed, we hugged, because we were all so happy as the executive team for the Alliance finally came together to see each other face to face, because we've been meeting online for a very long time. And you can just sense, I promise you, as you stay connected to us, you're gonna feel a level of empowerment like you've never felt before. You're gonna feel a level of sisterhood like you've never had before. You're going to feel and experience a level of power that you've never had before, because these women are committed to your growth, committed to changing the world so that we can actually bring about healing at a whole nother level. It is my vision, it is their vision. We know it's your vision too, or you wouldn't be watching this this particular interview or buying our book. And we know that you're going to, because we know that women around the world are waiting for this kind of conversation so that we can actually bring forth the divine feminine, not the divine masculine, the divine feminine in a very powerful and beautiful way. So Tina, first thing I want to ask you is tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
Like Dr. Anita said, I'm Tina Kapp-Kailea, coming to you from beautiful Auckland in New Zealand. So I am in the future. I'm 19 hours ahead from California. So back from the future, back to the future. Always a fun one and a mind bender when you travel. I traded Germany for New Zealand about 25 years ago, and I've been living here ever since. I am somebody that is very passionate about women finding their voices, having self-confidence to grab life by the horns and go, here I am, and I'm doing me on my terms and standing in sovereignty. Yes. And I help women get aligned with their feminine essence in business, because it's a very structured masculine way, and also break free of old conditioning to find back to self and to soul purpose, and really embodying their queen codes. And that means that you're just empowered and exuding confidence and savviness, and not having to compete like a princess or like the younger version of ourselves.
Yes. And you know what I love about what Tina does is, you know, when you really get in her presence, you feel that energetic shift, because she's here to, and we're all here to help you know that there's never been a more powerful time. I've been saying this throughout all of our interviews. There has never been a more powerful time than now, for such a time as this, for us as women to really claim unapologetically our femininity, first and foremost, our sensuality, our sexuality, our power like never before. So Tina, with that being said, how do you define power?
Power is a vibe. It is something that is not something you have to exude like any great leader. Some men do it really well. Women over the ages have been put in a corner where we put so much pressure on ourselves that we forgot how to be in our power. And I think as we coming out of this old paradigm, we reclaiming who we really meant to be in this world, because we have not given ourselves credit. So being in your power means that you know what you want, you can articulate really well what you stand for, what your values are, especially in business.
Yeah.
People want to know the face and the person behind the brand, because people vote with their wallet and with their attention. So if you're not fully having a presence, you're not coming across as authentic. And power and authenticity, I think, goes hand in hand. And you can feel, like you said, you can feel it. It's like that woman that enters the room, you go,
yes,
whoa, it's a vibe, it's an aura, and it's something that you can hone in, because believe it wasn't something that I have always embodied and had. I've spent a good almost 3 decades of my life hiding, playing small, and fighting a system the wrong way. And this is what I touched on in my chapter, because it erodes, it burns out, and it destroys us.
You know, it's interesting because I think 90% of the women on this planet, if not all 100% of us in some sort of way, have really allowed outside circumstances, situations, whether it's at work or whether it's with family or whether it's friend, define what power is for us. So now that you've defined what power is, it's a vibe that you have the ability to build, you have the ability to grow, you have the ability to have authority over it, if you will. It's a decision, that's my favorite word. It's a decision you make to allow to come forward on a regular basis. You've heard me say decision means to reach a definite conclusion. So why do you think we as women are not as powerful as we really are? And what would be the benefits of us stepping into our power, especially now?
I think the reason we have not been in our power for so long is, I mean, obviously history played a part. Yes. Women have been subdued, put in corners, and didn't have access to a lot of things. I mean, if you look at just voting, I'm coming from the country who's basically pushed through voting for women. That's not that long ago when you look at it. You look at further back throughout history and the ages, we didn't have rights for starters, and it's very hard to then feel in power. And I think the word power, as we know it or have known it for so long, was coined in the Piscean age, where it was all about suppression. It was leadership that was from the top down. It was war. It was violence. And we really have to redefine it, what that means as a woman. And when you say masculine and feminine energies, we all have that duality, but bringing that in alignment and owning that, and being prepared to look at where our wounding comes from individually. It's different for every person. I find from my own experience, everyone has got something that happened in their childhood between the age of 1 and 7, when most of our belief system is impressed on us. That it was either our childhood home, it could have been society, the area that we have grown up in, it could have been the country, values, all sorts of things. So we then carry on in our life playing into some of those things. And for me, it was, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, and I'm not going into detail on that, but it inhibited me of being seen. And it started at school, not putting your hand up when someone asked a question. Later on in the boardroom, I was the last to go and put forward my idea or even speak. And sometimes in the meeting went short, I didn't get a word in. So it plays out in different parts. So if we want to further ourselves in business, life, and everything, we need to learn to claim back our voice and work through the shadow of I'm not good enough, and finding out what was it that caused me to go down that route of thinking? Because once we hear that and come to terms with it, we can go, okay, it's not that scary. And I can be more myself. And the more you train and practice, the better you become.
You know, you have like so many nuggets within what you've said. One of the things that resonated really powerfully to me that I think is still operating, I think it's actually a silent epidemic, is that several women are still struggling with I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not enough. And then in our not enoughness, we're pushing so hard. We're working so hard. We're operating in that quote unquote masculine energy of trying to make it happen. I know that was definitely my MO, that we're not moving ahead. We're just kind of staying in the same circle, if you will. It's almost like we're moving up, but we're moving 2 steps back. We're moving up one more time, but we're moving 3 steps back. We're still moving up, but we're moving 4 steps back. It's kind of like this vicious cycle. And there comes a point, and this is what the Alliance is all about, where we finally say, wait, Tina alluded to this as well. There's another way to do this. We don't have to continue down this path. You have a right, and that's what I think I want you to hear. All of our speakers want you to hear, is that you have a right to make a new choice. You have a right to go a different direction. You have a right not to go down the rabbit hole that Tina was just talking about and go down a new path, because you have a voice, you have a mind that allows you to make the decisions that work best for yourself. And you do have more resources. You've got a lot of, and if you can't find those resources are right here with the Alliance, with Tina, with myself, with all the other authors, with all the people that are part of the Alliance. We have resources. We're creating resources to help women like you really move forward. So let's start talking about your chapter. I'm going to read to you her chapter. And there's a couple things that she said that I'm like, ooh, let's talk about that. So Tina's chapter is connect to your feminine essence, find your voice, and call back your power. So what is feminine essence? Let's start with that. I think there are a lot of descriptions about it, but no one ever really says what it is.
It is your intuition. It's trusting your gut feeling, your womb. Your center of power is your womb. We create life. So there's no higher power than that. And if you actually think about that and really internalize that, you know, when you have reactions, whether it's business, life, or whatever, something happens, but we have lost that ability to trust that, oh, hang on a minute, because we're either busy, distracted, or completely so disconnected from all of that. So it is your seat of power, is your womb, your gut feeling, your intuition.
What about all the women who have, because I agree with you, I think our feminine essence is our intuition, it's our sense of knowing, it's our God self. But when there's been a lot of woundedness, if there's been a lot of abuse, when there's been some rape or sexual abuse in that kind of sense, that's my expertise as a psychologist. I think most of you know this by now. And I've worked with women who have said, I want to trust my intuition, but my intuition has failed me because of certain experiences that they've had in their life. How do you speak to that?
That's a very interesting one. And it's something that I have unpacked and looked into through my martial arts career. I have a black belt in Shitoryu Karate, and I also teach. And the passion for me of women having a voice is specifically geared towards being able to defend yourself, because it's not the fancy moves from Kill Bill or whatever that we actually practice, as much as that looks fantastic when you can pull it off. It's actually teaching women how to scream and get out of that freeze mode.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the first step of going and having a split second to either startle someone or get away or get someone's attention. And I think from past experience, my husband is a police officer, so I look at both sides of that and how that plays out. And I cannot speak from that in terms of having gone through it. But I think that when you say that the intuition has failed them, it may be that they didn't have the tools to act. And that then was put back towards, oh, I didn't act and it was my intuition. I didn't trust myself. But it's a very difficult triangle to unpack that, and needs to be looked at holistically, I believe. And that's probably all I can say to that. But being in your
Well,
power.
actually, you did a phenomenal job. I have to, oh, wait, no, I said you did a phenomenal job because when it comes to working with someone in psychology, really you've nailed it on so many levels, because that's probably one of the first things that I even talk about too, is when someone has gone through some sort of trauma, that means something was taken away from them, i.e. their power, their ability to have a voice, their ability to share their emotions, their ability to say what they needed to say without fear of being punished. So what you alluded to, what you have said, is that once we can give you the ability to get your voice, even if it means right now the only thing you can do is scream, there is something very powerful about screaming. I'll tell you when I think I tapped into mine, and it was actually at an event where the facilitator had every woman there scream. I didn't do it at first because I grew up in a household like, you don't scream.
Yeah,
You're
be quiet,
not
be nice, be polite.
You're not supposed to be seen or heard. You're supposed to be heard, not seen, seen, not heard. However, my mom used to say, I don't even remember anymore. But yeah, you're supposed to be seen, not heard. That's what she said. And and it was a very fascinating and powerful experience as these women were screaming for the top of their lungs what they declare about themselves. And I struggled really hard, obviously, because I do have a background where I was sexually abused. And so it's actually exactly what you said. So the reason why I'm bringing this up with her is because there is so much within what you talk about, or reconnecting to your divine feminine self, that essence that's always been there, that may have been traumatized to not have a voice, to not have a presence, to not be able to express itself. And that is probably the number one thing that I saw. All the women that I've worked with have got over 27 years of experience in sexual abuse and trauma. And once a woman finds her voice, and I think a woman has multiple voices personally. Yeah. She's got a physical voice, she's got a spiritual voice, she's got a mental, emotional voice. She's got all these different voices that need to come out of her. And when she gives herself permission to have it, like what you're saying, her life transforms. And that was the most powerful thing. So at that event, it took about 2 days for me to find my voice. And once I did, it changed everything for me. Actually, within about a month, I lost about 15, 20 pounds. It's like all this heavy weight dropped off.
That exactly right there is what sometimes weighs us down, literally. Yes. Because it does start, I mean, our head is, the sooner you get out of your head with stuff, the better, but it's not encouraged for us, because you're losing your mind.
Yes.
You are crazy. You are, and this is the other thing, sacred
range. Her cycle, things like that.
Sacred range, or PMS, you're erratic, you are confrontation, your PMS. Right. It's coined by the patriarchy, and taking that power away by being subdued from a sexual point of view in the relationship, in our marriages, whatever it may happen to be, and at the extreme end, rape and assault, is something that the Piscean age over centuries has happened. And if you go into the endocrine system and ancestral wounding and how stuff goes down the rabbit hole, we're not just carrying trauma necessarily from what happened to us in our life. It happens to the trauma that happened to our mothers, our grandmothers, and their grandmothers, and it goes down the line. And this is, for me, this was it was a rabbit hole, honestly. It was the biggest aha moment for me to unpack where some of my things stem from, because I had a lot of confrontation with my mother and grandmother, because post-war Germany, scarcity, sacrifice, all these things. And it wasn't until my father passed away a few years ago from cancer after being bedridden for 2 years. And he worked his butt off all his life to have stuff he can do when he retires, and that retirement never came. And I made a decision right then and there, that's enough. I am going to be the person that will put a line in the sand for my family, so I can shine the light for my nieces and my son and the generations of children that need empowerment, because their parents haven't gone through yet what I have gone through. And that comes from a point of compassion, not from a point of arrogance.
Yes.
But I believe that my story is here to serve something. And my chapter that I've written for this particular one is about burnout in the workforce, because I I came from wounded feminine in that. I tried to prove myself in that environment. And as a result, I accepted everything. I worked long hours. I took it all on the chin without ever complaining, because I thought, if
because
I
that's what
want
we
to
were
get
taught.
there,
That's right.
but it doesn't need to be that way. And I have lost 5 pregnancies along that journey. So I know deep down how much trauma all of that happens when you basically ruin your health, because it is mental and it is physical, believe me. And
it's financial. Believe it or not, it's financial. That's the
in that as well.
Absolutely. I
So
had to learn. Well, I guess I'm just saying it real quickly that, you know, part of, we're kind of telling you a couple of things. One, we definitely want you to find your voice. And I don't want you to go screaming at people, because if you don't do it in the right way, it can have repercussions that actually work against you. We want you to do it in the right way. That's something that we're trying to create a container that actually puts you in an experience where you get to release all of that trauma, all of that generational curses. Because what I love that you said, and I say this on a regular basis, there comes a point, and hopefully it's sooner rather than later, but it usually happens when you get to around your 40s, and you're especially in your 50s, where you say, a line's in the sand, drawing a line in the sand, and you're saying, enough's enough. I'm not taking this a step further. It's done. It's over. And if we could tell you to get there sooner and help you get there sooner by making these new decisions on how you live your life's going to be transformed. So I got to get into a few more things that you said. First, something you wrote. I want to pull up. What's the definition? The definition of what it means to be a woman, this is directly from your chapter, the definition of what it means to be a woman has changed dramatically, and it has come with the toil. Talk about that.
It's the evolution of if you look at the last 100 years of the industrial age, we as women have gone from being the nurturer of the family, the matriarch from matrilineal areas, and looking after children in the household, to claiming rights, voting, entering the workforce, having a career, having the car, the money, all the things. But what we haven't done is given up the other role. So we've taken on a whole new other role, which made us so busy. And then on top of it came the media revolution. Social media, we are now on tap 24/7. We're checking social media. We're getting bombarded with what media tells us to do. Like, I'm now approaching 50. And it's like, oh, you should wear this color, and you should just do this hormone replacement therapy, all the things. And you think it finishes when you're in your 20s. And I weep sometimes for the generation that is now in their teenage years. The amount of pressure that we thought was bad in school being picked on, now it is a whole game. So this is what I mean. It's come at a price, because our hormone system can't handle it. We're constantly having this fight or flight, and this is what caused me to miscarry. My body did not perceive it safe for a pregnancy to be continued. That was a hard pill to swallow, that I was responsible for it. Because one of the biggest things when I was in this depressed hole and dark night of the soul was, why me? Victim mentality.
I went down that road.
I wish I knew why this is happening. So that in itself was my shadow work that I had to go and unpack, because you can change it. And I did. I've quit the job, and I never thought it was possible to break out of it because of income, because of all the reasons. And you become your own judge and jury, because you can argue both sides of the case.
Absolutely.
And if you're constantly in your mind, you don't listen to your body, and you start your day with 2 coffees and finish it with 3 wines, and then you repeat the cycle. And it's toxic, and it kills us. It literally kills us.
And I think so many women don't even realize that they're killing themselves. I had to lose everything to see how much I was killing myself. Because I'm a very spiritual, very ambitious, very driven, A personality type of person. I like to do a lot of projects. And at the same time, I also thought, I know how to take care of myself. I know how to have fun. I know how to get out, be with my friends. I know how to be with my family. I know how to do all that stuff. But over time, it still was in my head and not necessarily in my heart and in my womb or in my body. It took a couple of years for me to really shift that. And I have to be reminded on a regular basis. I have to learn how to stop. I had to learn how to surrender. And, you know, in the last conversation we talked about with Lori, she talked about surrendering is not about letting go. Surrendering is about just saying, I trust. I trust God. I trust the divine. I trust myself. I trust my intuition. I trust that everything's going to work out exactly the way it's supposed to. So then in that, I can rest. Instead of saying letting go, I learned to say rest, because rest works better for my mind. Letting go puts me in a fight and flight kind of response, like what you're talking about. No, I got to hold on to this. What if it goes and never comes back? Because I had 3 years of loss after loss after loss after loss after loss. I went through the same thing that you did. When I didn't get pregnant, but when the doctor said, hey, your system is in such a way that you can't have kids, I was shocked. Like, wait, what? This is impossible. I've always been healthy. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't do anything. How could this happen to someone who was doing the right thing? And realized it was at that moment that I realized that so much of my identity as a woman had been built on what I could do, not who I was.
Yeah.
And so there's a new revelation of, we have to read, and I actually think that's part of what the Alliance, a new assignment will be, is how do we redefine what it means to be a woman who has the harmony, I don't want to say balance, but the harmony of being able to use the masculine energy to create whatever needs to be created, but use 80% of her femininity to drive the world, drive her family, drive the intuition, or the community to a whole nother level of transformation. And I think, and I'm a firm believer of this, and no one can convince me otherwise. And if you can, come talk to me and let's see if you can. I am convinced that we as women cannot do what we've been doing for so long alone any longer. Too many of us are trying to do it all by ourselves. And that's what I think is also affecting us and not giving us that space physically, mentally, emotionally, and definitely financially. There are too many brilliant women who are hiding in plain sight. There are some brilliant women who just have a voice, but haven't allowed their voice to come forward. They haven't allowed themselves to receive the very thing that they were created to receive. They just, in some level, I don't know if women really know how powerful they really are. They think they do, and they think it from an intellectual perspective, but it's a difference between understanding the words of it and actually embodying it and actually birthing and living it from your womb.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely. And I always said, and I actually written this on my whiteboard, a hamster wheel can look like a career ladder when you were talking about going around in the circle. And we are then so focused on proving ourselves at any cost to get recognition, because we think we need to prove to ourselves our worth, giving yourself permission to receive and to step out and really take that crown and put it on our own heads to go, there, I have arrived.
Yeah.
And then you don't need to defend it. You don't need to do, you are in your power, in your seat of power. And I think we are remembering that we used to have connection with women in circle, and that can be family, it can be girlfriends. We've kind of gone towards having a girls' night out with lots of drinks in a bar somewhere, and we gossip. But unpacking that, it actually goes deeper, that we used to actually take the generations of a village, for example, back in the day, and it used to have knowledge shared where the young ones learned values from the elders. Everyone
Mentorship.
And because it was in a circle. For business, men have been doing it for, go back to King Arthur and the Round Table. I mean, women are so scared to, because we've been told to compete with each other. And I read an interesting book, and I can't remember the title, but it was unpacking the witch wounding that happened when we were forced to turn on one another to save ourselves and our family. So again, it goes into this almost ancestral belief system that we can't possibly be friends, and the mean girl mentality and the pick me. There's so many intricacies that go further back. It has a much deeper seeding than we think.
Do you think it still exists? Because I think it's actually, I'm not saying it's not there, because I can still see that there are women who unconsciously don't even know that they have projected this energy of, I'm competing with another woman. You can look at it. I know you've been around women and you've looked at them and you know that she has just been sizing you up. She's just been judging you. And if she's doing anything like that, she's in competition instantaneously. You know it happens. And I hate the fact that it does happen, but it does. I strive really hard not to. And if I see it, I try not to judge the woman who's doing it. I try to just let it go and bless her. Like I bless my sister because that means she's trapped. She's still in this old mentality. And like Tina said so beautifully, 9 times out of 10, if you're operating in that, it's because you're wounded. There's pain that hasn't not been healed, and it's now festering, and it's sitting on your face. And that's what I think hurts me the most. I have seen some gorgeous women whose face and energy has twisted because of the competition, because of the anger, because of the disconnect from their own self, their own power, their own voice. It just breaks my heart. Like, you're so pretty and yet you're so ugly. And it's not that you're ugly on the outside, it's your spirit is dead. And I want to come and like give you resuscitation, like hit you in a loving kind of way, like, wake up, this is not how you have to be. And this is one of the reasons why the Alliance has such a diverse group of women a part of it, because we are so adamant about helping you reclaim your life. So again, from no place of judgment, from no place of criticism, we are here to tell you that we see you, we love you as you are, but more importantly, we see a better version of you. We know without a shadow of a doubt that you've been created for much higher purpose than living in just barely living, settling for less, barely making it by, struggling so hard to just feel good. We know that you deserve so much more than that, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why this book has been written, and we hope that the stories that are there, and we're going to read so much more to you in the future. And Tina, if women wanted to get in contact with you, how would they go about doing that?
They can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Tina Kapp-Kailea, and also under the website fempreneurpathfinder.com.
And then she's also part of the powerhersuccessalliance.com. So you'll find her there. And there's information in our book as well. So you'll be able to find her there. So there are multiple ways. She's on Facebook. Connect to me, you'll connect to Tina, connect to Tina, connect to me, connect to all of us. We're here to help you. Again, we love you 100%. So Tina, what's the last parting words you want to give to all of our watchers today? The last bit of wisdom you want to share.
Don't be afraid. You don't have to go it alone. And fear is your biggest beckoning finger to go. You are standing across the fire and you have women on the other side. They're all coming and beckoning you to go step across. You can do this. If we are standing here, we've got your back. Don't be scared. Start. That would be my final.
Don't be scared. Come on, boo.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. We got you. We got you.
Yeah.
Tina, I love this conversation. I could talk to you for hours on end. Thank you so much for your time and your energy, and for just sharing your wisdom and calling our sisters forward to a whole nother level of connecting to the divine feminine essence, and their tuition and their truth and their power, so they can change their lives. I absolutely know this. I absolutely love you. I'm so grateful you're part of my life and you're part of my team. And let's continue to change the world. With that being said, we most definitely will. With that being said, ladies, get our book. It's coming out on September the 27th. We love you. We want to stay connected to you, connect to our Facebook group as Power Her Success Alliance. We've got so much more stuff that's coming over the next couple of weeks to really help you go to a whole new level now, and especially next year and years beyond. Much love. God bless. Take care of you. Bye-bye, everybody.